All right.
Yeah, wonderful day. Can't complain. How about yourself?
Same here. It was a day full of rain and everything's it's a bit cold and I like it a lot.
It's here too. I'm currently in Turkey. It's blazing hot and no rain in sight.
Yeah, I can see. I can see. I can see. All right. I think we are live on YouTube. Then let me try to double check, make sure that we're live. Yeah,
Okay.
I can see someone is typing. So I think we are good to go. All right, we're live. All right, so let's start. JM, everyone. Good morning, Web3 community, especially for our community in Jaya Talents. It's really wonderful. We can meet you guys here again for another session of Jaya Mindset. Jaya Mindset is actually one of the most favorite sessions from our community because we've been doing this kind of session. I think this one should be the second one, if I'm not mistaken, because the first one is actually a little bit of like workshop, and a lot of our community loved it. We have Jaya mornings in exercising their body, doing yoga, breath work, and also some of the tips on creating a good diet and also a good routine. And we have Jaya talks to level up our community's knowledge, enhance their skills, adding more to their value. And then we have now Jaya Mindset. So we try to cover every aspect of your body, like physically, mentally, skill related, make sure everything is in line so you can level up not only with your knowledge or not only with your body, but as a whole. So that's what we're trying to do. And right now we are here with Igor or Gideon as one of our speakers today. How are you, Igor?
Doing great. Amazing day. Busy as always. And practicing mindfulness and resilience today too. So thank you for having
Uh,
me.
I like it. I like it. You directly mentioned about mindfulness, and what I've heard in the backstage is that you're also performing or you're maybe practicing a martial art. Is that true?
Yeah, I started when I was a kid. It's kind of an awkward family story where parents walked on me imitating Jackie Chan movies, and that essentially paved the path to different dojos: wushu, aikido, taekwondo, and I've been doing Wing Chun for the last couple of years. So yeah, I'm still carrying on practicing every day, however little I can squeeze into the busy work schedule.
I see. I love Wing Chun so much. Like I watch all of the Ip Man's movies, if you know, and I think it's like one of the most craziest martial arts ever. It's like you cannot see any movement from his hand. It looks so soft. It looks not hurt, or maybe it's not. I don't think it looks like compared to like Taekwondo or maybe Karate. The movement of the Wing Chun is really different, and but it actually
Yeah.
a crazy martial arts. I love it a lot. Uh, and
Yep.
I think I would like for our community to know more about you because it's our first time actually to have this kind of conversation about martial arts, not only in the Jaya Thailand but also in Web3. I mean, because there is no like such direct related connection between Web3 and martial arts, but fun fact is that there are some martial arts organizations that started to learn more about Web3 and try to apply the technology to their organizations or maybe to their community, like from a game, from an NFTs and everything. So we are actually wanted to know more about you. So Igor, if you are welcome, would you like to introduce yourself to all of us?
Absolutely. I go by Igor and Gideon, two names. You'll see them in both my socials and whenever I attend some conferences. To give you a quick rundown, I guess with the since the beginning of starting to practice the martial arts, it was, as is for many, inspired by like the cool factor, right? Doing cool moves, followed by the Hollywood-induced mania of being overpowered, whatever. But that quickly that quickly subsided and instead developed into a more health routine. Helped me also to dive into Chinese calligraphy and language. That partly inspired me to start learning Mandarin Chinese. And later down the line, it also brought me into the meditation practices because my shifus, my trainers were practicing meditation. But ultimately, for me, it became more than health, more than a sport, more than even a culture. Because while I was practicing kind of the spiritual part of it, I guess would be the best word, the realization that I was doing it came much, much later. And like later down the line, maybe when I was 15, 18, I came upon a quote which became one of my favorites that reads as, a mind needs a book just as the blade needs a whetstone to keep its edge. And I think this is very, very important, dramatic and important, because in life, it doesn't matter if it has to do with martial arts or just everyday life or Web3, for example, it is quite important to stay on the bleeding edge of things if you want to excel, per se. And for me, it builds into the further mindset, like um, how do we practice martial arts? What do we take from it? How do we apply it to everyday life in a constructive way? So I guess speaking about the martial art part, I actually think, in responding to your point about how martial arts, like some people think it doesn't have much to do with Web3, I would honestly argue that it does have much more in common than people realize, because the not just the physical uh, not just the physical prowess, but also the resilience that we can master in body, mind, spirit, if you will, is absolutely vital for for Web3. So, for example, to kind of connect the dots, um, both meditation and the martial arts teach us observation and resilience, right? They kind of go hand in hand. And at the same time, both teach us to spectate without reacting. So it is more prevalent in meditation. In martial arts, it takes a shape of not acting until absolutely necessary, which also has to do with the values, with the ethos of martial arts. And I guess the best way how you can build the bridge between that part of the martial art meditation philosophy to the Web3 is that, especially in the early years, we saw an absolutely insane amount of projects that were disrupted by new shiny thing, right? And sometimes it was tied with like we can do everything, but harsh lessons had to be learned, and people did learn them. So it was more like you can do anything, but you can't do everything. Uh, One lesson that it taught me was that you shouldn't be jumping from every business idea to another, because it may confuse your team, it may harm your financial standing. I mean, consequences are innumerable. And in martial arts, you can think about it as martial arts in life, you can think about it as not reacting to every single problem that either life or every single feint, or however real it seems, that an opponent, imaginary or actual one, may be throwing at you because you might miss the real strike. Um, so that's kind of it. That's if we talk about the mindset of the martial arts. If we talk about the values, then yeah, to take it away if you have any follow-up questions.
Yeah, no, it's actually that really like opening my eyes, because when you mentioned that If you are looking for from another perspective, it actually have a lot of things in common from the Web3 and also from the martial art itself, like from the resilient, and that actually makes me like, oh yeah, I agree with you, because in Web3, like you don't just like being someone who are not knowing anything before you actually start exploring the area, because usually people just blindly dive into the Web3 without actually preparing for the basic stuff for the exploration, let's say. And I would also like to ask more about the martial arts thing, because I also a fan of martial arts. I've played a lot of martial arts related game, but it's a bit hard to find like the right classes here. I mean, there's a lot of like taekwondo class or maybe karate class, but some classes like Wing Chun, I would say, or maybe Kung Fu and some other capoeira is a bit hard to find here. And I would like to know from your perspective, there's a lot of like myths out there regarding the martial arts, like for example, some martial arts are not really that effective to be used in combat, and some are martial arts are really much more effective compared to the other ones. And I would like, from your perspective, I'd like to know like what about these kind of myths during your experience on learning these martial arts.
You mean in terms of the effectiveness and the applications of martial arts?
Yes.
Okay, there's quite a lot to be said about that because in my experience, when I hear it's a very wide-ranging debate about the effectiveness of martial arts, and it's important to also know that it changes from time to time. Like if you if you think about how they progress through time, you probably wouldn't be seeing any martial arts that exist right now, like 2 or 5 thousand years ago, except for maybe like Kulari Payatu, which is an Indian martial arts that survived to the present day primarily through like preservation of tradition, not even the applicability of the self-defense traits because the times changed. Then you have box that became a little bit more prevalent since the fighting style has changed, and even in 1700s, the fighting style of box itself has changed by a lot. So that teaches us that the applicability of martial arts is not something fixed. It's very flexible with the times, and you can think about it in terms of technological development. You can think about it in terms of habits of other people who are living in these days, not accounting for the tech. Um, these days, I think there is a lot of debate. There's a bit of toxic culture of like whose master is cooler based on the kids coming together to fight, and this is not very helpful to the development of martial arts and to the development of one's individual skills. But putting that aside, I would say that martial arts skills and its applicability to you depends only on how hard you practice it, and maybe on how well the martial art whether the martial art is well suitable for your body and your philosophy or psychology. Because, for example, I'm going to focus a bit more on Wing Chun for today because that's the latest martial arts that I've been doing, and also because by far it's my favorite one. Uh, Also, taking into account the Ip Man movies you brought. Um, One of the things that Wing Chun teaches at the very beginning, and one of the reasons why it's very difficult to learn in the beginning because it's quite boring, is to master your stance, which is not something peculiar. All martial arts do it, but it's a very confining stance. It doesn't help you to move very well, unlike many other stances in martial arts do. But the significance of it is very, very important because it's the first brick in a long pyramid of fundamentals. So I'm going to actually show the stance a little bit later. You can practice it at home if you're watching or if someone will be watching the recording later. But one of the most important concepts that come from that stance is the notion of being grounded, physically and mentally. You do not react to external stimuli, to use psychological term, unless absolutely necessary. Which means that you don't have like a whole wide range of movement. There is a con to that, but the pro to that is that you also don't have all that range of movement to control the threats per se that are coming your way, which is great because you don't need to exert that much force, attention, and focus. You don't have to lose your focus. In Web3, in life in general, there are always problems for us to solve, but some of them are kind of just problems that are passing by. We oftentimes have the tendency to react to each of them, exaggerate their importance, when in reality they are not even our problems, or if they are, the solution is right there. It's like a pieces of the puzzle that you cannot always see, but if you do not react to every single problem, then you are going to be able to see the bigger picture and to react to the whole of it. So to put it a bit more in a like physical perspective, in a more concrete picture, um, if you have an opponent, physical opponent in front of you, and they are throwing punches left and right, you shouldn't be reacting to all of them because they may not be aimed at you. Doesn't matter if your opponent is skilled or not. If you react to all of them, the chances are you will get unintentionally hit reacting to them. And the chance is that if your opponent is a bit more skilled, you are going to react to the feints and get hit for real. In Web3, in business and life, you may, by the same metaphor, miss the early warnings of the real threats. Doesn't matter if it's in your team, if it's external, if it's the flaw in your financial model, or if we all know it's something on the regulatory side of things with the global regulations evolving, but still not being quite there yet. So, yeah, I think that's it. You need to choose the right martial art for you that fits your mentality, and if you can also complement it with some um, health benefits, that's great. Obviously, they are going to always bring some health benefits if you practice well, but sometimes you can leverage your physique to actually learn the martial arts. So, yeah, that's it.
I see. That's a really cool opinion when you mention that we need to find the martial arts that right or maybe suitable for us because at first as a someone who have no knowledge at all in the martial arts, I thought at the beginning that people can directly do anything or maybe learn anything, any martial arts. But it turns out there are some martial arts that are more suitable for certain kind of people, or maybe it also based on their preferences. But in overall, I think there are also some difference between the mindset from those who are learning certain martial arts compared to the other. And I think that's a really, really interesting point. All right. You
Certainly.
since you also mentioned about the martial arts in Web3, and I'd like to also mix this with one of our community question who are started to be popping up on the community chat. So let's see. Oh, one there's someone saying that Shifu Igor. So you're now almost be a Shifu. All right, so I think where is this? Okay, so this is one of the most interesting questions that we have. So, regarding martial arts and Web3, is there any specific things that we can implement from Web3 tech on martial arts?
Simple answer, and again, being very subjective yet open-minded, is no. And it's maybe it hasn't yet been discovered. Maybe I haven't thought about it, but there were some web sorry, there were some dojos, some martial arts studios that have tried to capitalize on the hype of the Web3 movement and kind of bring the technologies together. Most of them leveraged NFTs. And technologically speaking, the background of NFTs, there is some of it, it's important to note, doesn't have much to do with the practical applications of the martial arts. However, if, for example, a martial arts studio or movement was to leverage the ownership of the digital asset that NFTs provide with some meaning behind it, with some model, to bring in new people, to emphasize the values of the martial arts, to visually reflect what kind of comprises the essence of it, then there is a good chance this manifestation of the tech in Web3 could be applied, could be implemented in the martial arts world. Being the fan of martial arts, I really do it happens. I am not very aware of whether it happened yet and whether the execution was good. So if you do know something, if you have an idea about something that is moving that way, please do let me know. I'm really, I would be absolutely happy to learn about it.
I see. A good question because I see some also back then when the NFT was a hype. Big, there was some also martial arts practitioner or maybe those who are have the enthusiasm of martial arts releasing some NFTs, membership, and also gaming project based on the martial arts. And I think that's a pretty good start for the implementation of the Web3 itself. And
Certainly,
one
certainly.
one of our question, one of our communities are actually asked an interesting question. So it's coming from the ex waifu. Okay, so the question is, what are the differences in mindset between people who learn martial art and those who don't?
Tough one. Um, I would say that with the stipulation that someone who trains martial arts diligently and for the right reason, the main difference are the values of compassion and silent, quiet confidence. Um, Maybe it is not widely applicable, especially through the prism of time. But I have been seeing quite a lot of it in the present days because lots of people these days, and you guys are no strangers to the hype of Web3, they focus on the momentary gains, right? Really quick action and reward mechanism, which is understandable, but over long term has way too many scientifically documented adverse effects. On the other hand, those who practice martial arts, or even if they don't, but they have somehow nurtured the values of passion, quiet confidence, they usually have a tendency to be much more patient, react to distractions less, and to have the eyes on the prize philosophy. Uh, and this is what I've been seeing, and I think uh, you have all been seeing. I think Jaya team has been seeing because you guys do a great job on building community and working with people to understand these values. This really builds into the values of honesty, transparency, fairness in Web3. So I would say that this is the main difference, but that doesn't at the same time mean that you can only um, become compassionate and nurture and build the confidence by learning martial arts. I would say it's the best way, on my personal experience, to do it both in a physical sense and emotional and resilient sense. And you need all three in life and Web3 as well.
I see. One thing that I would like to also highlight is that those who are learning martial arts are actually have some confidence, and that is so true because it's actually like giving yourself a value and building like a sense of security within yourself, so you can feel like you can also always protect someone, you can protect yourself in a good way, and I think that will differentiate a lot of aspects in your life because everything sometimes start from being confident, and I agree with what you said. All right, so I think
Definitely.
one more question before I actually wanted to ask you to show us something, but I think before that, one more question from our CEO. So Zana is asking how your life has changed after discovering martial arts.
It's difficult to answer that one because I started very, very early. So part of me wants to just jump right out and say I cannot imagine life without martial arts. Um, but kind of entertaining the hypothetical, I think if I didn't start learning martial arts as early as I did, and maybe have come into that world much, much later, I wouldn't have build such a strong base in terms of physical powers, in terms of also having dwelled into the world of literature of Chinese philosophy and exposed myself to the values contained in there. Because I read lots of literature in English and Chinese. If there are some Chinese listeners, they know the idioms, the chengyu, which bear absolutely insane amount of wisdom in very short expression form. So I think if I didn't start learning the martial arts at the time, my life wouldn't be full, judging by the standard of who I am and what I am today.
That's that's a cool one. You mentioned that you started very early, so I think the difference is if you don't like if you have you ever imagined like this will happen if I'm not learning martial arts? Have you ever imagined something like that?
It's difficult at this point, but yeah.
All right. So I think we will pause. We will hold the questions as of now, and I think as part of the as also as the representative of the Jaya Talents community, I would like to ask you if you have something, maybe some movement to show us, so we and also to inspire our community. That would be great if you don't mind.
Standard disclaimer, we're not going to be doing any high kicks, round kicks, and we also won't be doing any push-ups on the knuckles or the fingers. That's a more advanced level. But to make it kind of practical for everyday life, for the mentality and overall and in Web3, I am going to probably show you the standard Wing Chun stance, and to try to show how to check if you have like the correct manifestation of that stance with the resilience and with the resilience and non-reactivity to unnecessary distractions in mind.
Ah, this is it.
Let
This is
me.
it, guys. This is it. The moment we've been waiting for.
This is the moment you wait for. Now we have one of my greatest showman moments. Came prepared. So I don't have the best studio setup, but I hope this works out. If you are able to stand up and watch, then what I want you to do is to just stand straight and then bend your knees inside. So like a weird Charlie Chaplin dance from the 80s or something of the sort. So what you're going to do is this. You're going to bend your knees forward, and then you're going to shift your pelvis forward as well. And it will essentially make like a weird, quite uncomfortable stance at the beginning. That's the point on barrier learning winter, which you're going to be stuck in for a minute or so. After that, just try to shift your weight left and right to feel different control mechanism, the muscles contracting. After that, place one arm in front of your chest, just about one fist away from it. Okay? And then the other elbow extended, elbow tucked in, like this. If you turn to the camera, this is what you're going to see. Congratulations. You're on the way, on the path of learning the martial arts and becoming a great master. The Grandmaster, if you watch the memory is escaping me right now, the Grandmaster movie from 2015, which features alternative story of Ip Man. Anyway, so when you're in this stance, what you want to do is maintain the central line. You'll see the front palm is closing one half of my hand. If I move the second one, it's going to close the other. I exchange the arms, it's going to remain just the same. So this is the concept of the central line in Wing Chun. And this is more important than it seems because this will help you, if you practice correctly, to maintain the focus on the central line on the opponent. Because the concept in Wing Chun, one of those, implies that you always keep your opponent at the central line. So in but three, you want to keep your focus on the goal that you want to achieve, not on the multiple distractions that are coming your way. In a physical sense, the distractions are going to be the punches or kicks that the opponent will be throwing your way. So just keep it doing that very, very slowly when you have the time. And the way it's going to look separate in your side is something like this. You are not making a circular movement, and it may seem that way, but you're simply moving the arm forward and backward in a straight line. The illusion of it being like a circle happens because you are probably focusing on the arms, while the movement itself comes from the elbow. You're putting, you're supposed to be pulling your elbow to the side in a straight line, and also extending it in a straight line towards the upwards. And if you do it very, very quickly, then, especially with the punches involved, it looks like circular motions. Not so used to it. No. How do we make it a little bit more fun and embarrassing for ourselves? One of the main tests to see whether you're in the proper stance and whether you have the correct tension in your back, in your shoulders, and in your arm is best practiced with with a partner. Usually, you will ground yourself, you will extend the arm, form fist, and your partner is going to press on your fist. You're going to try and maintain the integrity of the structure, like you're going to maintain the integrity of your values in life. And what you want to avoid happening is when your opponent lets go, when they release the pressure, you want to avoid two things happening. Um, you want to avoid being reactive. Remember, keeping your focus. If there is no threat coming your way, why would you move? So if when they would go, you don't want your arm and blade to move forward. That's unnecessary. You're not currently in the position when you are testing the sequence. The reason why you don't want to extend your arm is because if you're maintaining the correct stance and extending your arm, your whole body is going to fall. That's very dangerous in martial arts because you are contracting the distance between yourself and your opponent. If you don't have the opponent, you can practice on the wall. It makes it a bit more challenging, but you can focus yourself, just maintain the neutrality of the stance. So if you are standing at the further and your legs are leaning, start with try moving the arm and see if you fall. Uh, this is not the ideal method, primarily because you cannot test the backward mechanism. The wall doesn't push. You want to do it with a partner that are going to push in your arm, and you're going to try to distribute the pressure as they're pushing across your body into the legs. The way to do it is to keep your elbow centered. So it will look uncomfortable because we need to contract the muscles in the back and in the shoulders. Keep your elbow to the center and keep your legs bent forward and pelvis tucked in. And then you will feel that suddenly the glutes are taking a lot of the pressure. If you feel that, you're probably doing something right, as long as you're not bending backwards with your waist, of course. So the reason why I wanted to bring this is a small exercise for today is because although you aren't going to be doing much punching, oh, I love the background you.
I'm
Yay,
ready
what
with
am
my background.
it's been so long, but I love them. This actually, thank you for bringing that up. This is an amazing substitute for an opponent, which is much better than the wall because you can practice the pressure on those ones. Yes, they don't push, but you will practice the correct positioning of the arms. So the reason why I wanted to bring this particular exercise today is because it is boring, but it is the fundamentals. And fundamentals, although they are often boring, they cannot be overestimated, underestimated. If you figure out the fundamentals, you will be able to figure out all the rest. In Wing Chun, it's punches and kicks and movement. In Web3, it's how to talk with the people who also have the values that are similar to yours, how to find people who have the values that are similar to yours, and how to build something of the value for, decentralized communities.
I
So
so
yeah, I
so
think I'm going to leave it with that. I'm sorry if your expectations were for something more flashy. I will be happy to to share some pretty cool videos of Wing Chun masters online. Some are um, debunking the myths of what the martial artists can or cannot do, like catching bullets with their teeth. That's a regular exercise we do. Um, yeah, and others that are more practical. So hope you enjoy.
Yep, thank you very much. That's amazing. That's exactly what like the stance that you've did. It actually like exactly the same like what we have been seeing in the movies. So like the stance where your hands is slowly punching, like it's keep rotating, and that's exactly like what Ip Man does, but in slow motion. And do you know how many people in the comments are actually going crazy? They yelling like Igor, Master Igor, Wing Chun, fast punch movement. Oh, there's a lot of comments that we've got from seeing that stance. That's really amazing, Igor.
Yeah, thank you
And
guys for the unyielding support. I hope that you take something useful from this little session and don't hesitate to reach out on any advice on the techniques or just to chat. Shifu Igor is always here.
Shifu Igor, yeah, I like it. I like it. Like, would you prefer to be called like Shifu Igor or Master Igor?
Tough choice. I like to be called just Igor. For fellow martial brothers and sisters, always just Igor.
All right. Okay, I think that's pretty much wrap up our sessions because I actually would like to open more question session, but we will be continue by the end of the night if we still continue about that. And I think before we wrap up, I would like to ask you one more essential thing that I also ask our speakers without any preparations backstage. So I'd like to ask, what is your quote of the day?
No, sorry,
What is your quote of the day?
my quote of the day. Um, I oftentimes I oftentimes recall the poem by Rudyard Kipling, specifically the first two lines of his poem "If," because again, it helps me to keep my mind at peace and to do good work. And that is, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. Uh, no one's blaming me for anything. I'm not blaming myself for anything, but I am trying to keep my head clear, to do like a couple of minutes of meditation, essentially as much time as is available every morning. Do some basic Wing Chun and physical exercise routine every morning, and yeah, keep my head cool. I think this is something that is that we all need these days with everything happening around. So it's a quote for every day for me. Um, and today, yeah, I need to keep my cool.
That's a good quote. Keep your mind cool, guys. That's all from Igor. And again, for Igor, thank you very much for joining our session as a speaker. It's been such an honor to have your insights and also to show some exciting movement from the Wing Chun, which is something new for all of us here in Jaya Talent and Web3 community. And again, for all of our audiences, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your comments, your support. And if you feel like this session is resonated a lot with you, feel free to also always invite your friends to watch. And we are welcome if you would like to watch the replay. And if you want to reach out to Igor, you can find us in our Jaya Talent community Telegram group. And later, Igor will share his social media or maybe the way to contact him if he is open to do so. And feel free to join our Telegram group, guys, t.me/Jaya Talent Chat. And we're looking forward to see you in our Telegram group. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Igor. Have a good day.
You guys have a wonderful day. Cheers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.